There is a question that crosses generations, cultures, religions, and even modern self-development movements. Why do most people never truly change their lives? We are not speaking about superficial adjustments, not about changing jobs, cities, or starting a new routine for a few weeks. We are speaking about structural transformation, the kind that alters how you think, feel, decide, and generate reality. Behavioral psychology reveals something compelling. Approximately 95% of human decisions are automatic, driven by subconscious patterns already installed. This is not mysticism, it is neuroscience. Research on habits and neural circuitry shows that the brain conserves energy by repeating familiar patterns. It prioritizes predictability over expansion. So the question emerges, if the brain is designed to preserve patterns, how can anyone truly change? Here we enter symbolic territory, and I must clarify. What follows is archetypal interpretation, not literal historical assertion. In ancient Egypt, there was the figure of Thoth, associated historically with writing, wisdom, and sacred mathematics. This is verifiable. Symbolically, however, he can be understood as the archetype of the consciousness that observes and records reality. What if there is an inner scribe within you, a dimension of your awareness that continuously records who you believe yourself to be? If that scribe keeps writing the same identity, how could the story ever change? Quantum physics, when understood responsibly, without mystical exaggeration, tells us something simple. The observer influences outcomes at the subatomic level. This does not mean thoughts magically manifest objects. It means conscious interaction alters probabilities. Now consider this. If identity is the constant observer of your life, then your experienced reality may reflect the coherence between who you believe you are and what you repeatedly embody. Most people do not fail because they lack desire. They fail because they never rewrite. And rewriting requires something few are willing to face, the death of the old narrative. Further ahead, we will explore this symbolic death deeply. But first, we must understand the mechanism. Change is not an emotional event. It is both a neurological and energetic process. Neurologically, it involves weakening old synapses and strengthening new ones. This requires repetition, exposure to discomfort, and conscious interruption of patterns. Energetically, used responsibly, it involves shifting recurring emotional states. Emotions are chemical states. Chemical states generate measurable electrical patterns in the brain and heart. What may not be measurable but is observable is repetition. Individuals who frequently feel fear tend to make decisions that reinforce limitation. Those who cultivate confidence perceive opportunities previously ignored. This is not miracle, it is coherence. And perhaps most people never change because they never interrupt automatic coherence. If this honest integration of science and spirituality resonates with you, subscribe to this channel. Every subscription strengthens this field of conscious exploration. Every interaction expands the reach of lucid expansion. Over the next moments, we will dismantle, layer by layer, the true reason so many remain trapped in their own story. And the question will echo quietly. Are you living your life, or simply repeating an invisible manuscript? There is something rarely stated directly. Most people do not resist change because of laziness. They resist it because of self-preservation. From a neuroscientific perspective, identity is not an abstract idea. It is a consolidated network of neural pathways linking memory, emotion, and behavior. When you say, "This is who I am," you are describing a stabilized neurological pattern built over years. And the brain protects stabilized patterns. Evolution shaped it to prioritize survival, not expansion. To the nervous system, the unknown represents potential threat. Even if rationally you understand that change could improve your life, biologically your system interprets disruption as risk. This explains why so many people initiate transformation, new habits, projects, commitments, and within weeks return to their previous baseline. It is not lack of willpower, it is a return to internal coherence. If we revisit the archetype of Thoth as the symbolic scribe of consciousness, we can grasp something subtle. The scribe does not record intentions, it records patterns. You may declare prosperity, freedom, expansion. But if emotionally you remain anchored in fear and self-protection, the dominant record does not change. Historically, Thoth was associated with measurement, mathematics, and cosmic balance. That is documented. The symbolic interpretation here is modern. Reality reflects internal equilibrium, and most individuals are in equilibrium with their own limitation. This is not judgment, it is diagnosis. Psychological research shows sustainable change occurs when self-image shifts, not merely behavior. I will run 3 times a week is weaker than I am someone who honors my body. Transformation begins when doing becomes being. Further ahead, we will explore the psychological cost of this shift. But first, another uncomfortable truth. There is hidden reward in staying the same. The brain releases dopamine not only in response to positive outcomes, but also to predictable patterns. Complaining may bring social validation. Victim narratives may provide belonging. Familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar expansion. There are secondary gains in stagnation. If this content has contributed to your expansion and you wish to directly support the continuity of this work, consider becoming a member of the channel. Membership is a conscious way to sustain this initiative, allowing more in-depth, responsible content that integrates science and spirituality to continue being created. By becoming a member, you strengthen this space of reflection and help keep alive a proposal that unites lucidity, serious inquiry, and the expansion of consciousness. Because knowledge requires structure in order to keep being shared. And every collective field is sustained by those who choose to support it. Understanding is the first step. Sustaining is the second. And sustaining requires continuous awareness. Now we must explore something even subtler, the invisible environment that reinforces your identity. But pause and reflect honestly. Do you truly want to change? Or do you want to remain someone who wants to change? There is a silent factor rarely considered when discussing transformation. The collective field in which your identity is immersed. You may have decided to change. You may have started new habits or experienced awakening. But if the emotional, social, and symbolic environment around you continues reinforcing your old identity, there is a constant gravitational pull backward. This is not merely spiritual metaphor. Neuroscience confirms the existence of mirror neurons, brain cells that activate both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing it. This means human brains are profoundly influenced by surrounding patterns. We synchronize behaviors, emotional expressions, and even ambition levels with our group. It is not weakness, it is social biology. Returning symbolically to Thoth, historically associated with balance between opposing forces, we can interpret psychologically that the mind seeks coherence with its surrounding field. If everyone around you operates in fear, scarcity, or conformity, maintaining expansion requires additional energy, almost like escaping gravity. This explains why many experience temporary growth and then revert, not because they failed, but because collective stability outweighed individual disruption. There is a silent mathematics in social mediocrity. When you expand beyond what your group considers acceptable, subtle rejection signals appear. Irony, discouragement, lack of support. Systems preserve the average. Is your current reality shaped by conscious choice or by the emotional average of your environment? Many confuse loyalty with limitation. Emotional coherence creates behavioral predictability. Protection blocks expansion. Autonomy means sustaining internal coherence even when the environment fluctuates. Each interaction here also forms a field. When you comment and reflect, you contribute to a collective space of expansion. If this resonates, leave your reflection below. It is not only engagement, It is field construction. Further ahead, we will explore how your own repeated emotions reinforce identity beyond environment. But pause and ask, if you were placed in an environment where growth is normal and expansion expected, would your current identity survive? Or would it need to be rewritten? There is a truth few are willing to examine. You may be chemically addicted to your own identity. This is not dramatic metaphor, it is biology. Emotions are specific neurochemical combinations. When frustration is repeated, the body adapts to that chemistry. When anxiety is frequent, the organism becomes familiar with it. Familiar feels safe. Over time, the body begins craving the same chemical state. This creates unconscious emotional dependency, not on an external substance, but on internal patterns. Someone conditioned to stress may find calmness uncomfortable. Stability may feel unnatural. You may attempt to create a new external reality, while your body still seeks the old chemistry. Returning symbolically to Thoth, weighing the heart, historically documented in Egyptian mythology, Thoth recorded the heart's weight against the feather of truth. Symbolically, the heart represents your dominant emotional frequency. It is not what you declare that shapes reality. It is what you repeatedly feel. Breaking this cycle is uncomfortable. When you interrupt habitual emotion, the body experiences mild withdrawal. Most interpret this discomfort as failure, when it may signal rewiring. Neuroplasticity confirms the brain reorganizes with repetition. You change not by thinking differently once, but by sustaining new emotional states until they feel natural. What you repeat, you become. And perhaps most people never change because they never sustain a new state long enough for it to crystallize into identity. Now, we must move into something even more decisive, the irreversible choice that separates intention from transformation. There comes a moment in transformation when thinking is no longer enough, feeling is no longer enough, planning is no longer enough. That moment is decision. True decision is not excitement, not desire, not inspiration. Decision is elimination. Scientifically, quantum physics shows that subatomic particles exist in probability states until measurement occurs. Measurement alters the observed system. This is experimentally verified within specific contexts. The modern symbolic interpretation is this: as long as you keep multiple internal escape routes, your energy remains fragmented. I want change, but if it fails, I can go back. I want expansion, but only if it's comfortable. That is not decision. It is negotiation with fear. Decision closes internal doors. It removes psychological exit routes. Cognitive psychology confirms that unresolved decisions create mental load. The more alternatives you keep open, the more energy is drained. Symbolically, if Thoth represents the scribe who records what is chosen, indecision becomes blurred authorship. Most people desire a new life while continuing to sign invisible agreements with their old identity. Decision is authorship, and authorship involves risk. When you choose one path, you eliminate others. The brain perceives this as loss, and loss aversion is neurologically stronger than gain anticipation. That is why many live in almost change, almost commit, almost expand. But almost preserves identity intact. If this insight resonates, write in the comments. I choose coherence with my expansion, not as motivation, but as structural commitment. Now we must move into the most challenging territory. When the old identity begins to dissolve, that is where most retreat, and where a few cross over. There is a stage in transformation rarely romanticized, for good reason. It is uncomfortable. When decision is genuine and practice is sustained, something inevitable happens. The old identity begins losing density, and this can feel like loss. Historically, the weighing of the heart in Egyptian symbolism represented transition between states of existence. That is mythological record. Psychologically interpreted, every transition requires release. You do not stack a new identity on top of the old one. You replace patterns. Replacement generates temporary instability. During this phase, old thoughts still arise but carry less authority. Old emotions surface but are observed rather than obeyed. This in-between space can feel disorienting. If I am no longer who I was, who am I now? Psychology refers to this as transitional disorganization. Old internal maps dissolve while new ones form. The brain reorganizes synaptic connections. This is healthy. Yet the mind interprets uncertainty as threat. Many abandon transformation precisely when the old identity weakens. They mistake dissolution for failure, silence for emptiness, instability for error. In reality, it signals restructuring. Symbolically, if identity is the manuscript, this phase is when pages are being torn out. Editing one's own narrative is not comfortable. Socially, others may react. Some distance themselves, others test old patterns. Systems attempt to restore previous equilibrium. True transformation is not constant euphoria. It is quiet consistency. It is acting according to your new identity on ordinary days. Repetition consolidates identity. Identity consolidates reality. And once the new identity stabilizes, effort becomes natural expression. Change stops being a project. It becomes pattern. Now we must integrate everything explored and confront the final truth. Most people remain the same not because they lack knowledge, but because they make a silent choice. After understanding the mechanisms, neurological self-preservation, collective influence, emotional dependency, decisional ambivalence, and identity dissolution, one question remains. If all this can be understood, why do most people still remain the same? Because at the deepest level, change is an existential choice. An existential choice is not made once. It is reaffirmed daily. The brain can be rewired, identity can be restructured, environment can be adjusted. Science confirms neuroplasticity. Psychology confirms self-image malleability. Physics confirms that interaction alters potential states within specific contexts. But none of this replaces sustained decision. Most people want transformation without rupture. They want new outcomes while preserving old justifications. They want expansion without discomfort. This is not moral failure. It is refined self-protection. Predictability feels safer than expansive uncertainty. Symbolically, if thought weighs the heart, then judgment happens daily, internally. Each decision weighs coherence against comfort. You can rationalize externally. Internally, you know when you are aligned, and when you are preserving familiarity. Real change begins with silent authorship, no announcement, no spectacle. Just daily commitment to a new coherence. Simple actions repeated on ordinary days. Over time, the new identity becomes natural, and when it stabilizes, the environment reflects it. The highest timeline is not an external destination. It is a stabilized internal pattern. When internal pattern changes, external probabilities reorganize. Perhaps most never change because they never sustain new coherence long enough for it to become irreversible identity. But you can. When we integrate everything explored, identity, collective influence, emotional addiction, decision, dissolution of the old self, a broader pattern emerges. Change is not an external event. It is a reorganization of coherence. The brain seeks coherence between thought, emotion, and behavior. The body seeks chemical coherence. The nervous system seeks environmental coherence. Symbolically, consciousness seeks narrative coherence. If we return to Thoth as archetypal scribe, writing represents organizing chaos into sequence. What you call destiny may be stabilized repetition. What you call personality may be consolidated conditioning. The brain functions as a prediction machine. It anticipates outcomes based on past experience. Perception is filtered through internal maps. Change identity, change filter, change filter, change perception, change perception, change decision, change outcome. This is logical sequence, not mysticism. Freedom is not absence of conditioning. It is awareness of conditioning. Between stimulus and reaction, there is a space. That space is trainable. Meditation, reflective writing, emotional regulation, all have scientific backing for neural reorganization. But without sustained intention, practices remain superficial. The most honest question is not, how do I change my life? But, which identity am I willing to abandon? Because transformation always requires relinquishing something familiar, even if it is limitation. The void that follows is not emptiness, it is space. Space for new coherence, space for deliberate identity. Consciousness observes, consciousness edits, and sustained editing restructures reality. Understanding mechanisms is essential, but understanding without application becomes intellectual accumulation. And intellectual accumulation does not change identity. Stabilizing a new coherence requires deliberate practice in 3 dimensions: thought, emotion, and action. Thought. What you repeatedly revisit gains neural priority. Strengthen narratives aligned with expansion. Emotion. Regulate rather than suppress. Breathwork, validated scientifically, reduces excessive nervous system activation. Regulate the body and perception shifts. Action. Identity consolidates through repeated behavior. Small daily aligned actions surpass sporadic intensity. Consistency surpasses intensity. Neurologically, repetition strengthens synaptic connections. Symbolically, repetition writes new lines in the internal manuscript. Patience is structural. Modern culture reduces tolerance for gradual process. But identity changes through persistence, not impulse. Reorganization precedes visible manifestation. Those who transform are not necessarily more talented. They sustain temporary discomfort for future coherence. Authorship is quiet. You do not announce transformation, you embody it. Perfeito. Vamos aprofundar com densidade real, filosófica, científica e estrutural, sem pressa, sem superficialidade. Bloco 10. O tempo psicológico e a ilusão do um dia. Português. Existe uma armadilha silenciosa que mantém a maioria das pessoas exatamente onde está: o tempo psicológico. Não o tempo cronológico. Esse é neutro, mensurável, físico. O tempo psicológico é a narrativa interna que diz: ainda não é o momento. Eu começo quando estiver mais preparado, quando as circunstâncias melhorarem. Essa estrutura mental cria uma sensação de movimento sem movimento real. Do ponto de vista neurológico, o cérebro adora projeções futuras, porque elas liberam pequenas doses de dopamina. Imaginar mudança já gera prazer antecipatório. O problema é que essa antecipação pode substituir a ação. Você sente que está evoluindo apenas por pensar sobre evolução. Esse mecanismo é sofisticado. Ele protege a identidade enquanto cria a ilusão de progresso. E aqui entramos em algo ainda mais profundo. A mente usa o futuro como estratégia de autopreservação. Enquanto a transformação está no futuro, ela não ameaça o presente. Enquanto a nova versão está um dia, a versão antiga continua segura. Perceba a sutileza. Muitas pessoas não falham por falta de capacidade. Falham por excesso de adiamento confortável. Existe uma frase interna que raramente é verbalizada, mas frequentemente sentida. Eu ainda tenho tempo. Mas tempo psicológico não altera a identidade. Somente a ação repetida no presente altera a estrutura. A física moderna, quando tratada com precisão, nos mostra que o tempo não é absoluto. Ele é relativo ao observador em contextos específicos. Não estamos falando aqui de viagens no tempo, mas de percepção. Psicologicamente, o futuro é construção mental. A única dimensão onde decisão acontece é agora. Se voltarmos ao simbolismo de Toth, podemos fazer uma leitura arquetípica interessante. O escriba registra o que é feito, não o que é imaginado. Intenções não registradas por ação permanecem como potencial não consolidado, e potencial não consolidado não altera destino. Existe também um fenômeno cognitivo chamado viés de continuidade. Tendemos a acreditar que o futuro será semelhante ao passado, a menos que haja intervenção consciente significativa. Isso significa que, se você não interromper padrões deliberadamente, amanhã tende a ser variação do ontem. A maioria vive em repetição levemente modificada, mudam detalhes, mantém estrutura, mudam cenário, mantém identidade, mudam discurso, mantém reação emocional, e então dizem, nada muda, mas nada estrutural foi alterado. Existe ainda um componente existencial nesse adiamento. Enfrentar mudança real implica aceitar responsabilidade total. Enquanto você adia, ainda pode culpar circunstâncias, economia, família, fase da vida. Quando decide agir agora, essas justificativas perdem força. E responsabilidade plena pode ser assustadora, porque elimina a narrativa de impotência, mas elimina também a desculpa. É mais confortável acreditar que o futuro resolverá o que o presente não enfrenta. No entanto, toda identidade é construída em microdecisões diárias. A forma como você responde a uma conversa difícil, a forma como administra uma frustração, a forma como utiliza sua primeira hora da manhã. São essas escolhas aparentemente pequenas que consolidam quem você é. Não é um grande evento que muda sua vida. É repetição orientada. Talvez a maioria nunca mude porque espera um momento extraordinário para fazer algo que só exige consistência ordinária. E enquanto espera o momento ideal, o tempo psicológico continua oferecendo sensação de movimento. Mas movimento interno, sem ação externa, não consolida nova realidade. Se há algo que interrompe esse ciclo, é compromisso imediato com uma microação coerente. Não amanhã, não quando sentir confiança absoluta, agora, porque identidade se altera em presença, não em projeção. E cada vez que você escolhe agir alinhado com sua versão expandida, mesmo que em escala pequena, você enfraquece o domínio do um dia. O futuro não é território distante, é continuidade do que você pratica hoje. Bloco 10. Psychological Time and the Illusion of Someday. English Adaptation. There is a silent trap that keeps most people where they are, psychological time, not chronological time. That is neutral and measurable. Psychological time is the internal narrative that says, not yet. I will start when I'm ready. When circumstances improve. This creates movement without structural movement. Neurologically, imagining the future releases dopamine. Anticipation feels rewarding. The danger is that anticipation can replace action. You feel progress by thinking about progress. The mind uses the future to protect the present identity. As long as transformation is postponed, the current self remains safe. Psychologically, the future is a mental construct. Decision only occurs in the present. Symbolically, if Thoth records what is done, not what is imagined, then unacted intentions remain unrealized potential. Without conscious interruption, tomorrow becomes variation of yesterday. Most people modify details but preserve structure. They change environment but keep identity. They change language but keep emotional reaction. Transformation is built through micro-decisions in ordinary moments, not dramatic events, but oriented repetition. The future is not distant territory, it is continuity of what you practice today. When speaking about parallel realities, clarity is essential. In theoretical physics, interpretations such as the many worlds interpretation suggest that multiple quantum outcomes may coexist in separate branches. This is a debated scientific hypothesis, not proof that individuals can jump between universes at will. Here, we use it symbolically and psychologically. At a behavioral level, multiple potential versions of you exist as neural probabilities. There is a version that maintains old patterns, a version that sustains discipline, a version that avoids confrontation, a version that claims full authorship. These are not distant universes. They are potential neural configurations. Each decision strengthens one pathway. Neuroplasticity confirms repeated behavior strengthens specific networks. Over time, repetition transforms probability into default. Changing timelines becomes a metaphor for reinforcing new decision patterns until they dominate. Destiny is not imposed. Destiny is stabilized pattern. Every decision is a vote. At first, the old identity has majority power. It has years of reinforcement. New choices feel weak because they are neurologically young. With repetition, exception becomes rule. Rule becomes identity. Perception filters reality according to dominant belief structures. Change filter, change perceived opportunity. Accessing a higher timeline means stabilizing new identity until new choices become automatic. Most abandon before reaching critical mass. But critical mass emerges through sustained coherence. Each micro-decision strengthens a different branch of your existence. And when that branch becomes dominant, external life reflects internal statistics, not through supernatural intervention, through reorganized pattern. Final block: conscious authorship and the highest timeline. If you have followed each layer explored here with attention, you may have realized something essential. Change was never about capacity. It was about coherence. The brain seeks coherence. The body seeks coherence. The environment reinforces coherence. Identity preserves coherence. And what you call my life is, to a large extent, the sum of these stabilized coherences accumulated over time. Most people never change because they do not sustain the disruption of their old coherence long enough for a new structure to consolidate. They begin, they understand, they feel inspired, but they retreat when identity begins to dissolve. They retreat when the environment reacts. They retreat when the body experiences emotional withdrawal. They retreat when decision requires eliminating old possibilities, and so they return to the pattern, not because they are incapable, but because the previous coherence is still stronger. If we symbolically integrate the archetype of Thoth as the consciousness that writes, measures, and organizes, we recognize that no one else is drafting your story. You write through repetition. You register through decision. You consolidate through practice. The so-called highest timeline is not a mystical event waiting for external permission. It is a stabilized identity that consistently produces different decisions. When identity changes, perception changes. When perception changes, choice changes. When choice changes, pattern changes. When pattern changes, reality changes. There is no magical leap. There is progressive reorganization, and that reorganization always begins in the same place, the present. If you wish to apply everything explored here, simplify. First, consciously choose the identity you will sustain. Second, identify the emotional pattern that must be weakened. Third, replace automatic reaction with deliberate response repeatedly. Fourth, sustain this coherence even when the environment offers no immediate validation. Fifth, allow biological time to consolidate what psychological time tends to postpone. This is vibrational maturity. This is internal responsibility. This is authorship. Do not wait to feel completely ready. Do not wait for ideal circumstances. Do not wait for collective approval. Structural change occurs when decision becomes daily and silent. You may not notice dramatic transformations in the first weeks, but if you sustain coherence, you will begin to observe something deeper. Less impulsivity, more clarity. Less automatic fear, more conscious presence. Gradually, your external reality begins to reflect this internal reorganization. Relationships adjust. Opportunities become visible. Emotional responses stabilize, not by chance, by alignment. If this message resonated with you, share it. Help expand this field of consciousness. Because every person who awakens illuminates hundreds of others. Leave your comment, your vibration, your testimony, not merely for engagement, but because your energy is part of this collective construction. And remember, the highest timeline is not a place in the future. It is a state of being, available here and now. May you walk in peace, in clarity, and in love. Until the next awakening.